Travis Wingate, as expected, I crashed, and it's now after 6 a.m. So I missed my run. My dream was me describing the Paleo-Hebrew J-stroke in a number of the Paleo-Hebrew characters referring to a man as somewhere I have an alarm that went off. So this video is going to go over the explanation of the parable of the 10 virgins in the way of how do you avoid becoming a foolish virgin, Mormons. And I hate to tell you this, but the read, ponder, and pray has made you foolish virgins. And I'll get to that. When I was in Michigan in first grade, my parents signed me up for Little League Baseball, and it was T-ball for first grade. It's where the ball was placed on that stand thing, and then you hit it, so there were no pitchers. And that's when I first started baseball with, was on that T-ball thing, like golf, only for baseball. And then it was actually on the last day of class, parents took me out of class because we were moving. And so Mr. Childs had the Pringles can of candy and such. He had my published book of all of the year's assignments throughout the days. That's long been destroyed by my dad, by the way. Bastard. And we drove across the nation to Southern California. And eventually we got settled in Placentia, and went to Sierra Vista Elementary, right there in the neighborhood, and got signed up for Little League Baseball again. Was able to use that as my excuse to get out of piano lessons. I thought I had to tell the teacher that I didn't want to do piano lessons, rather than saying to my mom, "I'm not doing piano lessons, Mom." It's just the way my parents incorrectly led me to believe things. And so, yeah, I was playing Little League Baseball. I was always in the outfield because of my height. I had arms, longer, excellent throwing arms. I could literally throw a baseball from the home run fence all the way to home base, and actually even beyond. as several examples turned out, where I was throwing home, hit the back fence rather than the catcher. One Saturday morning, I thought I had a game, or I went out in the morning thinking I had a game. I don't think it was Saturday, because Saturday was when we had the other follow-up game, so it was like a Tuesday. And being summertime, that's when I thought it was in the morning. Went out to the field there in Tuffrey Junior High, and nobody was there. The fields were empty. And so I thought that was strange. Went home, took off the uniform, and went and spent my day in front of the TV, as I normally do. Then dinner time came around. Mom was cooking dinner. It was starting to get dark. And was getting set to watch the evening shows when all of a sudden the phone rings. It was the coach's wife saying, "Where's Travis? We've got a game. He's missing the game." I quickly put on my uniform, and I'm driven out, or do I run? I think I was given a ride, but they had to go back because dinner, and so there I was. Because I was late, I had to sit on the bench. Couldn't jump right in. I had to wait until the inning was over before I could be placed in the game. And so whoever normally sat on the bench got to play that day. And so then I got cycled in and went out into left field. And we played the game. We were doing well that day. We were up by 3 runs in the final inning, but the pitcher was getting tired and worn out, and loaded up the bases. And like I said, we were only up by 3 runs at that point. They were catching up. The bases were loaded. We didn't have any outs. And so there I was going, oh man, I didn't know the score or anything like that, other than afterwards. The coach then goes to the mound to replace the pitcher, and he calls me. I've never pitched a game in my life. But all of a sudden, in this final inning, the coach is calling on me to save the game. And I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. It's important for the message of the story about the foolish virgins not being prepared. I went as the coach ordered, stepped onto the mound. The umpire gave me a few practice throws. I couldn't hit the catcher for the life of me. never pitched. After 3 or so throws, I heard the coach say, "Take 3 deep breaths." And so I literally did. I obeyed him and did 3 deep breaths. And after the 3rd breath, the umpire said play ball. Batter came up to the plate. And then all of a sudden I went into the zone. Didn't know what it was. Hadn't watched the Kevin Costner movie, Perfect Game, yet. Hadn't come out on DVD. I think it was video, still VHS when it came out. But I got it on DVD somewhere. That transition phase. And through the first ball, strike. Second ball, strike. So the opposing coach told the batter to swing. At first he was telling him to not swing, but as he realized I was now throwing strikes, letter high fastballs. And so the third one, he swung and missed, struck out. Second guy gets up there. Still letter high fastballs the whole way through. Strike. Second one, he tips it. Fouls it back. And then struck him out. Third guy gets up. He pops it up the first pitch. It's to the third baseman, almost to the shortstop. Third baseman catches it. The game is instantly over. We won. I was still standing on the mound, wandering around. The coach was jumping up and down. Came running out to the mound, picked me up, spun me around. Turns out my parents showed up for the first game ever that night. They never came to any of my games, except for that one time. Coach was saying that he'd never seen such performance since some baseball player before my time. Pitcher before my time. If he'd said Sandy Koufax, I would have known who he was talking about because I was a Dodger fan, but didn't know the name. So then the Saturday, he had me start as a pitcher. He decided he was going to train me to be a pitcher now. And it was gone. Just for that one game, that one inning, I was a pitcher. And after that, it was gone. But I'd always, since that game, practiced pitching. I would use the garage door to pitch, and so that's why the one board is missing on the garage. I'm not sure if they replaced the garage or if they kept the garage and the board is still missing. I'm gonna bring that up and do a snapshot of it and use that as the picture for the video here. Oh, no, not that one. Maps. Oh, man. Avenue, Placentia, California. Got a photo. Yeah, they've completely replaced the shrubbery with the dead branch that gave me the scar in my right eye. It's also where I was throwing one day and Laura Baker came down to see my mom for a young women's sewing project. There's a car in the way. You may not show it. Oh, wow. Yeah, they replaced the... They replaced the garage altogether. And there's a basketball hoop out in front. That is 1725, right? Yeah, 1725. Wow, yeah. Because it was ruining the property value. Oh well. So maybe I'll do another picture of the game or the field, since that symbolism is now gone. Put in tennis courts. Huh. Weird. See, I don't need the... There we go. Dun, 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 dun. Brody's Ball Field, that's what it's called. The peers introduced me to my first porn magazine. Yeah, we'll trim it. Alrighty. It was there in the bushes up against the wall by the subdivision, which is gone. They took out all the shrubs. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, there used to be bushes right up against the wall, right there by the entrance to the subdivision. They took them all out. Huh. Well, you know. So Mormons, getting to the analogy, we're in the final inning. This is it. All of us as Mormons are now called upon, according to prophecy, to step up and pitch to save the game. And who can't hit the catcher, and who's gone into the zone. You've been in the game. What have you been doing with your time? Did you just go to the games? You know, are you not really putting an effort in the practices? Let me bring up Moroni chapter 10, verses 3 through 5. The passage in James is, faith without works is dead. You've interpreted Moroni chapter 10, verses 3 through 5 to reinterpret the passage in James to be faith without works is sufficient, is good enough. It's faith without works is dead. And when ye shall receive these things, in verse 4, I would ask you, I would exhort you that you would ask God, pray, the Eternal Father, in the name of Christ, if these things are not true. So there's the read, ponder, and pray. And if you will ask with sincere heart, real intent, having faith in Christ, He will manifest the truth of it unto you by the power of the Holy Ghost. And that final passage right there, He will manifest the truth of it unto you by the power of the Holy Ghost, you have completely destroyed. What is manifest? That's the physical representation. You can feel it, see it, hear it, smell it, touch it, taste it, whatever. Manifest. And yet you've turned it into a spiritual manifestation called revelation. That when you read, ponder, and pray, you think that when you get revelation, that's now the truth. And you don't have to do any work any further. Manifesting truth by the power is what's important. And that's where Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28, comes into play. Because the word is likened unto a seed. The revelation you get after reading, pondering, and praying. The reading, pondering, praying is not the works. It's not works without faith is dead. You can't just do whatever you want and expect some kind of result. You have to have faith in the Word first. So you have to know what Word it is you're supposed to be having faith in. You got to get it in the correct order. And so, read, pondering, and praying is to get the Word, to have faith in. That's only the beginning process here at the end of the book. You now have to plug it into the equation in Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28. That's how you get oil and a reserve oil for your metaphoric lamps for the latter-day prophecy. If you stop at faith, you're a foolish virgin. You aren't going to be prepared, and you will lose the game for the team. And so when you get a revelation, Book of Mormon is true. Oh, I'm having emotions and feelings. It's true. I now know it, and I'm going to bear my testimony that I had feelings that it's true. You haven't done any research in the Book of Mormon. Church is telling you not to. Antichrist like Travis Wayne Goodsell is telling you that the book is plagiarized and has a coded message instead, which is different than the other anti-Mormons who are just saying that the Book of Mormon is false because it's plagiarized. And so you don't believe any of us because you've been given revelation that the book is true and you feel it in your heart. And you go around testifying falsely, bearing false witness, false manifestation, because it was only in your head. That's as far as it went. And so you don't care if the book's plagiarized. You don't care if there is no archaeological confirmation evidence. Besides, you got to figure out which land. To do the research. And then you don't bother, you know, even those who say, oh, the Book of Mormon's plagiarized, somebody told me so. Even they fall for that trap also. Nobody's done what I've done to find out why. Why those books? Why in those places in the Book of Mormon? Because if you remember, the first 116 pages were destroyed by Martin Harris. So why the replacement? Because they claim it's not the same text. It's something different. And it's now involving Nephites and Lamanites. But if you're only going to stop with Revelation, with somebody giving you the word, you say, oh, somebody told me such and such, so therefore I believe them, and I'm not going to go any further to confirm what they've said or to deny what they've said. And so this goes for ex-Mormons and anti-Mormons as well. All of us have to do the work to verify the word, because otherwise it's just hearsay. So, are you a foolish virgin, Mormons? Being called upon in these latter days to pitch the final inning to save the game? Yeah, oops. Because there's nobody who does what I've done. Nobody has done research on church history. Nobody has done research on the Book of Mormon. Nobody has done research like I've done with the Bible. I've deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. I deciphered Egyptian petroglyphs. I wanted to know. not just be told by somebody what to believe in. I wanted to know for myself. And so I put in the work. And so that when I get called in, deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, to know that the J stroke represents a man from my dream this morning. That wasn't my intention, to be a Paleo-Hebrologist or an Egyptologist. That was not my intention when I started the research. I just wanted to know, is Joseph Smith correct? From the King Follett Discourse, from the Book of Abraham. Is he correct? There are lots of people saying this and that. Who's right? I found out for myself by learning Paleo-Hebrew, by learning Egyptian. There are other Mormons who've learned Biblical Hebrew. There are other Mormons who've learned Egyptian. And they didn't do the necessary work to find out if Joseph Smith was right. And instead they learned Joseph Smith was wrong, and so they come up with other excuses that are way down the path of wrong to justify it. To remain in the church, but not even believe that Joseph Smith is real, a real translator. So no, the Book of Mormon is not translation. It's plagiarized. But it's encoded. And that came from learning church history. Not just believing some book by somebody who found some things. I did the research myself. I was trained for it. Just like in baseball, I was trained how to do research. Just like Little League, I was trained how to play ball. So when the time came, I became a pitcher. When the time came, I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. When the time came, I deciphered Egyptian petroglyphs. Because I put in the work after getting the revelation and having faith in the Word. So cut out all the hatred, Mormons. You have no one else to blame but yourselves. You are not going to be let in the wedding feast if you continue on this path. Because now you've got to cram. And you've got to cram like you've never crammed before. And you have no idea where to go to cram. You have no idea the resources and the direction and the publications and the works needed to cram, to get the revelation, to get the deathbed knowledge. It's getting too late.